TCP/IP is different with the application layer of the OSI model, because the application layer in TCP/IP, okay, is doing all of the functions of these three layers in the OSI model. As you can see here, we have a rectangle, and in the OSI model we have the same rectangle but with three functions. This means that these three tasks should be done with only one layer, one application in TCP/IP. Because of that, this is compatible exactly with OSI. The only difference is that in TCP/IP we are using three tasks with one application. Means FTP, HTTP, SMTP, POP3 are doing all of the tasks of these three layers. It's not important to thinking about the detail of the applications and presentation and session of the OSI model, because now we don't have these layers in our practical networks, and this is beyond the scope of this course also. But let me to say that in the OSI model we have three different software that should do all of the things, all of the work that now we are doing all of them in one application, such as the FTP. Because of that, the TCP/IP in this layer, the application layer, is compatible with these three, for example, three programs, three software. After that, we have the same layer, transport, and this is the transport with the same function. Here we have the network, here we have network, and then data link, physical. As you can see here, we have only one difference, and I explained this difference. But let me to give you one story about the TCP/IP. It's so interesting. Look at here. In the first days, maybe it's surprising to you, in the first days we didn't have this TCP/IP. We had this TCP/IP. This is the original TCP/IP. What is the original TCP/IP? Look at here. In this original TCP/IP, again we have the application layer, and you know that this application layer is working and is doing all of the functions of the application, presentation, and session layers of the OSI model. Very good. Again, we had transport layers, such as the transport layer of the OSI model. We had internet layer, and in the OSI we had network. Internet is not relevant to our today's internet. It means internetwork, okay? And the internet function exactly is same as the network function. Because of that, here we have only difference in the name, okay? But the function is same. Also, we had one layer, we called it link, and link function is equivalent to function of these two layers. That's it. Because of that, the original TCP/IP layer had only 4 layers, not 5 layers. And here, as you can see, this is compatible with the OSI model. Why? Because the TCP/IP original application equivalent is to this layer, transport equivalent to transport layer, internet equivalent to network layer, and link function is data link and physical function. But with this, for example, model, we had some problems. Let me to talk about that. For example, you know that one of the functions of the network layer in the OSI is the addressing. You know it, for example, addressing. And also here we have the internet layer, and the internet layer's function is addressing. Now, and you know that in the TCP/IP we are using the IP for addressing. Okay, let me to ask you one question. What is the layer of IP? If you say layer 2 according to TCP/IP original, because this is layer 2, it is not correct, because the addressing is the function of the layer 3. Because of that, we use the TCP/IP original, but we talked with the OSI, for example, terminology. For example, in that days, we said that we are using TCP/IP original, but the IP is the layer 3 protocol. Why? Because the IP is the layer 3 protocol of the OSI model, and this is not good. You are using TCP/IP original model, but you are talking with the OSI, for example, terminology, and this is not good. Because of that, some standards created and changed the TCP/IP original to TCP/IP updated. This is the model of TCP/IP that now we are working with it. In TCP/IP updated, we added the data link and physical instead of link. Here, because of that, now we have compatibility with the layers with the OSI, and also we changed the name of internet to the network. Here only we have a change in the name. Because of the now, when you are talking about the For example, IP protocol, IP's function is one of the functions is, for example, addressing. Now you can say that I am using the TCP IP updated or TCP IP, okay? And the IP is the layer 3 protocol, 1, 2, 3. And this is more compatible with the OSI model. Because of that, in today's networking classes, in today's networking concepts, we are using this model, a 5-layer of TCP IP model. But maybe you encounter with this term, the OSI, the TCP IP has 4 layers, but it is not exactly correct. Okay, don't forget. Because of that, now, you know that the OSI model is not a practical model, and we are using the OSI model only as a reference model. And TCP IP original model had 4 layers because it's not compatible about the layers with OSI model. The new TCP IP updated model is created, and now we can talk about easily with the layers of the TCP IP. This is equivalent to the OSI model. What is the, for example, layer number of the IP? It is the layer 3. What is the layer number of TCP? It is the layer 4. What is the layer number of the application? Here we can say layer 5. It's okay. Look at here. This is the layer 5, but let me to give you one interesting information. Maybe in some cases you hear the FTP is the layer 7 protocol. Why? Because you know that application is a layer 7. Yes, I know that application layer in the TCP IP updated is working, is doing all of the function of layer 5, layer 6, and layer 7 in OSI model. Yes, I know it. But maybe you hear layer 7. If you hear layer 7, don't surprise, because this is a historical view that we are talking with the OSI model. Okay, you know it now. Don't worry about the some of the misconception that maybe you will hear in the future. You know the fact. The fact is that with TCP IP updated, the physical layer is layer 1, the data link layer is layer 2, the network layer is layer 3, the transport layer is layer 4, and the application layer is layer 5. But in some cases, maybe you encounter with the application layer as a layer 7. And don't forget that we don't say TCP IP updated, we only say TCP IP. Okay, because now the only version that we are working it in the in our networks is the TCP IP updated. Because of that, we don't need to refer to the TCP IP updated, for example. And the last things that I'm going to talk about that in this video is that in TCP IP, okay, we are using, okay, many protocols. FTP, HTTP, SMTP, POP3, TCP, UDP, IP, ICMP, Ethernet, or other protocols. The TCP IP model both defines and references a large collection of protocols that allow computers to communicate. To define a protocol, TCP uses documents. We call it request for comment. This is only for information. Let me to give you this information. This is good for now, that TCP IP, for talking about its documents, okay, is using the documents, its protocols uses some documents. We call them request. Look at here, request for comment. Maybe you heard about them, or RFC. Request for comment. Each request for comment, okay, or requests for comments has a number. For example, request for comments 11 to 22, the first and the original RFC for the TCP IP. Okay, and maybe you see these numbers, for example, RFC 11, 20, 22, all of them are free. You can download them from the internet and read about them. But TCP IP, in some cases, for defining its protocols, okay, or a new protocol, uses these documents. We call them requests for comment, okay. You can find them if you want with any online search engine. And also the TCP IP model avoid repeating work already done by some other standards body or vendor consortium by simply referring to standards or protocols created by those groups. For example, the IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineer, defined Ethernet LANs. You heard about the Ethernet. This is one of the protocol of the data link layer. The IEEE, okay, defined the Ethernet LANs because the Ethernet LANs previously defined the TCP/IP again avoid repeating the same process for a request for comment. Only the TCP/IP model refer to IEEE Ethernet as an option. It says that in TCP/IP we are using the IEEE 802.3, the number of this. For example, technology is IEEE 802.3. Okay, you will learn about it in future in this class. And the TCP/IP only says that yes, we are using Ethernet IEEE 802.3 in our, for example, function. We don't need to again publish a new RFC. Because of that, the TCP/IP uses RFCs or some refers to other, for example, standard bodies about the technology. And the TCP/IP model creates a set of rules that allows us all to take a computer or mobile device out of the box, plug in all the right cables, turn it on, and connects to and use the network. So easy, okay? And you know that the OS on the computer implement part of the TCP/IP model. The Ethernet card or wireless LAN card built into the computer implements some LAN standards referenced by the TCP/IP model. In short, the vendors that created the hardware and software implemented the TCP/IP. To help people understand a networking model, each model breaks the functions into a small number of categories. We call them layers, and you saw the layers in this for example video, and you can see it here. This is the layers of the TCP/IP, 5 layers. Layer physical is the layer 1, data link is layer 2, network is layer 3, transport is layer 4, and the application is the layer 5. Very good. Until now, we learned about the history of the TCP/IP, and also we learned about some of the terminology, some of the overall functions of the TCP/IP. Okay, in the next video, I'm going to talk about again TCP/IP, but I want to give you some more information about the TCP/IP. Don't forget, if you want to be a master in the network, to be a professional in the network, the key is learning the rules, the TCP/IP concepts. After that, you can easily configure, you can easily understand, you can easily troubleshoot the network. Because of that, now it's a good time for reviewing all of the topics I mentioned in this video. After reviewing all of the topics I explained in this video, please come with me to the next video. In the next video, we will talk about again the TCP/IP, but with more detail about the, for example, function of the application layer, transport layer, and some other information about the TCP/IP.